We are live. What's up,
Boom.
guys?
Welcome to the Man Cave of Doom.
Doomage.
Who do we have this week? Damn Shorty.
You say, damn, shawty.
That's not how you say it.
That's how you say it.
And we have returning guest, Metal Theologian Aaron, of course.
Hey,
And we want to welcome to the Man Cave, first time, Mikey Bananas.
Hey guys, I appreciate you having me on the program. This is fun times, man.
Thanks for coming on, man. Of course, Bananas is the host of Grown Man Record Night. And if you haven't checked that out, what the fuck's wrong with you? It's a staple of the VC, been around forever. I just noticed you guys are on episode 300 and something?
Oh man, last night was 354, 364. Hell, I lost count.
Holy
Yeah.
shit.
I tell you what's even crazier than the number of shows. It's mind-boggling. The number of years. I was telling Fever one night. I was like, we have been doing record night pretty much twice the length that you were in high school.
Holy shit.
That's crazy. I mean, high school seemed like it lasted forever. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
But the other thing is when we reviewed the potato chips, there's a young lady that curates that sweet tea for us, and if you go to the list and do it by number, we have reviewed over 650 bags of potato chips.
Holy shit.
What kind of started out as a meme and sort of a gag, it's like, whoa,
dude, it's awesome. I stumbled across you guys. Jesus, pretty early on.
Yeah.
But it was like, you weren't live at first, right? You started going live a little later on, maybe.
Well, we were always live. The thing was, we started out on a program called Ustream.
Okay, I remember that.
Yeah, because I mean, the way the story went, the girl that curates the chips for us, me and my roommate, my best friend from a lot of the record night folks in here, I'm seeing. Welcome, guy. I appreciate you guys jumping.
Yeah, thanks for joining in, guys.
But we were young. I didn't really start collecting records.
I know he's talking about me to begin with.
Of course. But I really didn't start seriously collecting records till like late 2010 or 2011. I'd collected CDs and like metal cassettes back in the 90s and shit. But like my best friend from like elementary school moved in with me, and we started collecting records kind of together about the same time. And the girl at work was like, man, I'd love to come hang out with you guys and listen to records. But she was like us. She was like, I'm not actually going to come do that because, that involves like going somewhere. So we're sitting here on the couch and I'm like, man, there's got to be a way to like broadcast what we're doing in like 2011, and Ustream was the first Google result that came up. And I'm like, oh shit, and it's free too. So we took an iPhone with a little wire thing that he made out of a coat hanger and set the iPhone up on the table, and it just took room audio.
Yeah,
that's how it all started. Then we turned into doing segments and getting a better camera and hooking up like legit stuff. And it was interesting.
Like, I never make it in for the live stream, but you guys have turned into my Saturday morning cartoons.
Nice.
That's basically what I do Saturday mornings.
That's a grand compliment, brother. I still get up. I've got a rule, man. When I get up on Saturday mornings, I go into the living room and I pop on a cartoon.
I try and do it myself, to be quite honest, man.
I think when Aaron was over here, didn't we watch a cartoon like first thing in the morning?
I think so, yeah.
Probably a Mask cartoon. You guys remember Mask, kind of like G.I. Joe?
Yeah.
Yeah, actually. Shit, man. I forgot about that.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
But the show's turned into, it's awesome, man. You got a whole cast of characters with Steve Fever and Boss Man, Carl the Envelope, Jay, the Curbist. You got everything going. It's awesome. So
it's fun, man.
Yeah, like anybody watching this or later down the road, if you haven't checked out Grown Man Record Night and you're into the VC and records, you're missing out. It's a fun time.
I appreciate that, man. That's awesome. We would love to have everybody, Yeah,
man.
I'm gonna drop this link in my Discord. So you.
Oh, that's funny. I thought you already done that.
No, I was waiting for the live link.
Right on.
Boom. All right.
Hey, Mulder. Finally, a decent time for me here in the Netherlands. Awesome.
Right on.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
Sweet.
This is a cool little program, man. I like how the comments and shit pop up. This is my first time checking out StreamYard. This is pretty neat.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, this is the free version too. I might, actually upgrade it so we can do a little more with it. But right now we're just running this free. So
I came across this. I'm a comic book guy too, so I watch these guys that do shows about comics, and they started using this StreamYard. And it's like, man, that looks pretty cool. And I looked into it, and it's like, there's absolutely nothing to it. You send out, like, you guys got an email, I got an email. You click on the link,
yeah, it opens right
you're
up.
in, man. As long as you got a camera and a mic, there's nothing to it. It's awesome.
And it's funny because I was thinking about this when I was thinking about coming on the show. Like, Steve and I both do video stuff for a living.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, originally we could have sat down and like produced a nice looking VC video to put on the YouTube, and it would have been fine, and we'd have made it look pretty good. And, that's what we do. But there's something about this live element and navigating the tosses and turns and twists and things that inevitably go wrong almost every week for us.
Part of the show, man.
That's part of the show. That's when I was working in the news business, man. I didn't really like the news business all that much. But when you're like, oh shit, we're going live in like 5 minutes, give me some duct tape and like a couple of bolts, and we're making this shit work. That was kind of the allure to doing this live versus just producing a video,
Oh man, it was hilarious watching you guys. I think before you upgraded to a new camera, but before that, it was like Jay would walk by, accidentally hit a cord, and everything would just go to shit. It was like, what would you say, Kajanga or something?
Kachonga. That's like a word. I've been saying that since I was a little kid.
Shit would go black and white or just static.
Oh yeah. And initially, it's really funny because when we first started doing the show, I'm big fans of Tim and Eric. I don't know if you guys know Tim and Eric, the comedy duo, and they're really irreverent and weirdo dudes.
Dr. Stephen Brules.
Yeah, exactly. But they used to do this show called Tim and Eric's Night Live, and it was a live streaming show, but they used like the jankiest public access switchers from like the late 80s, early 90s with the kangaroo wipes and the naked girl wipes and stuff. And they made it look cheeseball on purpose. And the original point of this was, I'm going to get cameras from Goodwill, shit you get for $5. I'm going to find an old switcher, and we're going to make this just jank on purpose. But man, at some point, I think the auteur in us was like, I can make this, we can go 1080p and I can increase the bit rate and make sure we get,
Right.
At some point that kind of took over the the jank part of it, which, it is what it looks better. And a lot of people didn't get the gag, that we're trying to make it look shitty. Some people are like, what is this 480p bullshit? I don't want to, there's nice
I don't know
looking
how many times I was proselytizing and the person started bitching about your production values.
Exactly. That's
People were
exactly
like,
right.
I don't know. Yeah. Like, dude, come on. That's not the point. Actually, that's not the point.
All right, guys,
Like,
let's
you
jump in.
reach that level before you get the point.
Let's save a little bit for the end.
Okay.
Definitely about the show and all that. Let's go through the little things we do here at the beginning. We usually show a record everybody that we think everybody should have in their collection, or at least have heard. So we'll go. Let's go counterclockwise. How about you, George?
Mine is I have it on vinyl, but I've been listening to this on CD. Junior Wells, Chicago Blues Band, Hoodoo Man Blues.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Yep. Hold on one sec.
Love Junior Wells.
This is this is actually like the original Delmark pressing of this too. It has 2 bonus tracks on it, like 2 alternate takes on it.
That's killer. I love the stuff he does with Buddy Guy too.
Yeah, Buddy Guy's on this.
Oh, is he? That's cool.
Yep. Yeah.
I'm a sucker for any Chicago blues, man. I'm a big Hart guy, so ooh, baby.
Yeah, I've learned over the last 20 years that I've come to appreciate the blues more than anything I think I listen to.
Dude, you've been tearing it up, picking up blues over the last year or so, constantly.
Probably 2 or 3 years now. Yeah, but I mean, I had like all the basic stuff before, but now it's like anything that comes in the shop that I've never seen, or Dave's like, "Have you heard this yet?" And I'm like, as soon as he says that, I'm just like, put it in my pile. I'm not taking it home with me. So.
All right, Bananas.
Aaron, real quick. There's a question for you. Here you go.
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to like bogart the whole thing. So Redeemer was fantastic. All right, Eternal Champion, I'm still kind of assimilating. I mean, I said this in the video too, I suppose. I do like it, but I don't know. Maybe my expectations were a little too high for the thing. I think it's a really cool record. It's a fun record. I don't think it's a great record.
Dude, that album was so hyped up. Everybody
Exactly.
was on that, man.
I was kind of expecting a little bit more, and that's probably not fair to it. You know what I mean? Especially because I heard someone told me it's like punk rock guys playing metal, and normally that would fucking turn me way off, you know? Like,
Eternal Champion.
That's irony. Well, fuck you. I'm going to not buy your record out of irony. You know?
So Eternal Champion, that's on Sega Genesis?
Yeah. Exactly, man. That's part of why I had such high expectations for it. Have you seen this fucking thing?
No.
Dude, it looks like such epic metal.
Oh, and
Yeah.
it's not?
I haven't really checked it out, but everybody, into the newer metal stuff is digging them.
Dude, how many times have you gotten burned in the past, especially in like the 70s, in that weird period between like David Bowie and disco and hard rock? You flip an album over and the guys have long hair and like kind of like weird outfits. You're like, this kind of looks cool. And you get home and it's like shitty white boy disco, like really fucking bad disco, man.
Trying to discern between funk and disco is, oh my God, that's so hard. And what about the Johnny Rivers record that looks like a psych rock record?
Oh, yeah.
That's gotten me multiple times.
And you know what's funny with that Rivers record? I think that Rivers record is actually worth something just because of the fact of that cover, you know?
Yeah,
a lot of people got burnt buying that. Dude, Greeno, I know you've heard this. I don't know if anybody else on the planet besides you and I have. Do you remember Metal MC?
Yeah. That was bad.
Mikey, you know that one?
I don't think so, man.
Good. You're
it's a bad. Yeah.
I know. How about Aaron? Metal MC?
I've heard it. I've heard of it, but I never gave that a chance, honestly.
Greeno, we're the only two on the planet I think that heard it.
It's on the shelf over here somewhere.
I didn't even give it that much respect. I don't have it in the collection anymore.
Those old 70 albums, though, like you're talking about, were hilarious because you would flip them over and you look like cool rocking dudes on the back, with the long hair. And then you would read the track listings, and it's like, track 1, love is like a balloon. Track 2, and it's like, I think I'll put this one back.
It's funny how quick you get smart with picking up records like at a Goodwill, and you're like, oh, this looks great. Wait a minute. Now let's see what label it's on. And then let's see the types of instruments. And then let's see the names of the songs. Wait a minute. Whoa.
Exactly.
How many Beatles covers? Yeah.
But when you're a kid, you don't think of those. You don't think of the song titles. You don't think to look cool. Yeah. They look cool. They got long hair.
Yeah. All right. What you got, Bananas?
Oh, so my one, probably to two of you guys would know that this is probably my favorite record that I own. I don't know what it is about this record, but it's something I think everybody should at least listen to. If you don't own, Les McCann, Live at Montreux, baby. This is the quintessential Grail Record Night album for me. It's obviously live. The production is good, but it's like a lot of the instruments are a little overmodulated, and it's got this really hot sound to it, and I love that. And it has the biggest song on here compared to what? I know that song personally from the movie Casino, and there's a scene where the shot's empty and the snare hits, and he goes, "God damn it!" And then Pesci's face moves into the frame, trying to make it real compelling. And I was like, "Man, what is that song? I'd never heard it before." So when I found this, I completely fell in love with it. Not to mention that it's got a song called North Carolina, which is where we're at over here. And it's the funkiest song of all time. And it's funny because at the beginning, he's like, here's a song about North Carolina. He's like, people there, pretty country, but kind of funky too.
That's
like,
cool, man.
Hello. But yeah, that's, I've said this. I think one of the things that kind of comes from this record for me is, this was one of the records that was up on the wall when I had a very small collection, and I was like, that looks interesting. I'd kind of like to buy that, but it was, geez, man, I think it was like $8. And I'm like, man, $8. I'm not spending that kind of money. I've been buying dollar records, and one day, and I'm like, you know what? I'm ponying up. I'm going to get that record on the wall. And I went in there and it was gone. And I'm like, oh man, see, this is what happens when you wait, man. You got to jump on shit when you want it. And I was pretty down about it. And I guess they had moved it down into the regular stack. So when I'm flipping through, there it is. And it felt like Christmas morning. And I think that feeling kind of goes with why this is always my number one, other than my family's record. My family's in a gospel group. I've got 5 copies of their record. Other than that, this is my favorite record of all time.
That's awesome. And I'm going to tell you, dude, because of you guys, because of you, I picked that up. I haven't spun it yet, but I got it sitting over here in the pile to go through.
Are you fucking serious? You haven't played that yet?
No.
Because you bought that when I was up there. That was like 4 years ago.
Dude, there's shit over here I've had 10 years I haven't spun yet.
Man, it will make my fat ass get up and start moving. Lickety split, baby. I'm telling you what.
Were we together when I picked that up, Aaron? When we were in DC? Oh, okay. Right
Not
on.
to cut you off, but this Michael Cron, he said, Hound Dog Taylor. Dude, Hound Dog Taylor is one of my favorites, man. One of my favorites. And he was one of those guys that he didn't get real popular till, 2 years before he died?
Well, that's why they started Alligator Records, was for Hound Dog.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
He did I think it was 2 studio albums. He passed away while working on the 3rd one.
Yeah, the guys that started Alligator were trying to get somebody to release some of his music, and was like, "Fuck it, we'll start our own label." And that's how
the best albums Alligator's ever released are those Hound Dog Taylor records.
And 6 Fingers, Little Nub.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh, really?
If you like Hound Dog, Hound Dog Taylor's more. What do you say, Greeno? Like a dirtier.
Yeah, he's pawn shop guitars.
Yes,
gnarly.
Right up my alley. You could tell, like Angus and Malcolm. That was probably one of the first fucking blues records they heard and went, "Yeah, we'll sound like that." Thank you.
Yeah, he's awesome. Yeah, if you ever get a chance, just Google Hound Dog Taylor's hands.
There's another.
They don't work. They're just like little nubs, but it's like, holy shit, he's got 6 fingers.
Man, I got some nubs that don't work either, so that's all right.
I hear that.
All right, Aaron, what you got?
Hey, before I forget, you know who faked me out with the psychedelic cover was Lightning Hopkins, and I actually knew who Lightning Hopkins was, kind of, but the one on ESP.
I'd have to see the cover.
No. I lied. It wasn't ESP. It was on International Artists.
Okay.
So I had to cover like those 13th Floor Elevators records or the Red Crayola, and I was like, holy shit, what was he getting into here? So I sought out the record, and I didn't particularly like it because it just sounded like blues to me,
That happened to me with Bo Diddley. I think there was one Bo Diddley record, if I'm not mistaken, that was on like.
Is this that Gladiator?
No, it was on like Sub Pop or some weird freaking label, man. Like a punk label.
Wow.
I
do have one Bo Diddley that looks really psyche. It's got a really ridiculous cover. I can't remember what it's called. I think
is that the Gladiator one?
No, I know the Gladiator. I have that one. I'll look it up while Aaron's showing his thing.
Yeah, I got one right behind me. I'll look see what one I've got too.
What was the one where he's on the chopper? I love that cover.
Big Bad Bo.
Yeah, that's a great fucking cover, man.
I know. I love that record too. It's not a great record, but it's Bo.
Yeah.
Bo Diddley records like Chuck Berry. Same fucking chords every song, just different lyrics.
I remember that cover.
Yeah,
totally.
Yeah.
I think that was the one I was thinking of.
Right on.
I'll find that one while Aaron's showing his.
All right. Well, first of all, I just put this on.
Oh yeah.
Woo! Like hype. Awesome. I was between records anyway. I was like, oh yeah, I got to pull that out. No, I've been listening to a lot of this Finnish jazz shit, which feels kind of pretentious to say, oh, everyone should have this. So I'm not going to do that. Instead, this is one I just pulled out earlier today. This is a fucking fantastic record. I was thinking about Bananas and Grown Man Record Night, and there's like a certain Grown Man Record Night vibe that's like the classic sound. You know what I mean? And this fits right in there. This record is so much better than anything else I've ever heard by the Barkays. It's just super funky and like heavy and rockin'. You know what I mean? It's almost more like an early funkadelic record than like some of that disco shit they got into later. So Yeah, it's a fantastic record. I very highly recommend it. And I talked about it before, but it was like several years ago now, I think. So
That's cool. I enjoy it.
yeah, that's pretty much what I did.
What
I've
is
got some
that?
arcades, but it's really slow, I believe. That's why I don't spin it very often.
Yeah. Yeah, they were pretty hit and miss, man. Like Soulfinger was like the first big hit, but I used to have that record, and I was like, it's kind of, it kind of sounds like one of those sort of popular instrumentals. You know what I mean? It's like Green Onions or something of that caliber, Soulfinger, and I was like, that's nice, but and then I heard some of the disco shit. I mean, I guess like half the band died or something, so they're basically a different band later. But then this disco shit, I could totally believe some slow jams, but this thing came out in the middle somewhere, and it's great.
Yo, Green, I think you're right. I think it is Black Gladiator.
Yeah.
There was like more of a funk R&B, but there was one other one, man. It was on. I got to keep looking. Hold on.
All right, well, I'll go ahead and share. I love this freaking album. I know I'm probably gonna catch hell for it, but I don't give a shit. I think it's a cool record. And it's Loverboy, Get Lucky.
Oh, I was talking about this last night.
It's an awesome record, man.
It's a good record, man.
There's like
After you get done showing this, I'll tell you my whole week of music.
What's on that one? Is Hot Girls in Love on that one?
It says Working for the Weekend, When It's Over,
yeah.
Gangs in the Street, Lucky Ones. This whole album, dude, is fun. I mean,
yeah, it's a great record, man.
the first album's cool. It has a couple songs on it. Yeah, it's all right. But they peaked here, and I don't have much use for them after this. But, dude, this is like the soundtrack of, 81, 82 of my youth.
Dude, I'm tired of even when I was young, when we were young, like I got so much shit for listening to Prince all the time.
Yeah.
At this point in my life, dude, if I want to listen to Wham, fuck you. I'm going to listen to Wham.
I'm there too, man.
Yeah,
I hate the term guilty pleasure, man. I don't like. I mean, I say it all the time, but
yeah.
I mean, what is that? Jesus.
I've been listening to 70s like AM fucking rock all week long. I don't know why, but like all the hits, not the like the deep tracks, like Ramblin' Man, fucking Jim Croce. I've been on a Jim Croce kick all week.
Green, it was funny last night, and I was mistaken because I showed a Loverboy record at Dig of the Week last week. I picked it up for like 50 cents at a Goodwill or something. And last night, for the second week in a row, we did our second Night Ranger LP. And we're kind of what's funny is last night I was like, oh, it's not this one, it's the one. Which one's got the pink ass britches on it? And it was actually Loverboy, not Night Ranger. That's what I was thinking of. So yeah.
Oh man.
I don't know what this next comment means, but I'm going to show it anyway. Baloney Stack.
That is a Girl Man Record Night reference. I have, I've got my rock is behind me here, nice and alphabetized. Jazz is over here, nice and alphabetized. Funk and hip hop's kind of a hodgepodge. Country, electronica, and then the bottom shelf over here.
Uh-oh.
This is what we refer to as the baloney stack of records that used to baloney stack. I could pull from that and play records behind us on the show. And I'm like, hey, this probably won't get us popped. I've since learned those are some of the ones, Zamfir will pop you as quick as fucking Huey Lewis will if you ain't careful. So you have to be careful. So there originally was stuff we'd play underneath this and during the show that was funny, but it's records that I'm never going to listen to. But to be fair, I have went back through and dug through the baloney stack years after collecting records, and I'm like, what the hell is this doing in here? This is a legit record. I just kind of learned this cover looks stupid, but whatever. And it's actually a record, that's pretty decent. So
I do the opposite. That's weird. Like I go through my main collection and pull one and go, what? Eddie Rabbit? What the fuck is this?
Yeah, I have done that as well.
But I do love A Rainy Night.
Oh, who doesn't?
But I have to admit, I do love this album. But
That's a great record, man, dude.
Part of me pulled this because Aaron's on the show today. And I was just wondering if he'd have any statements on that album.
You're gonna get vanished.
Aaron, let me ask you this: when you were the president of the Loverboy fan club back in the day, how many subscribers did you have?
Do you still have your president's?
I lost them all.
Now, I think last time we had you on, Aaron, it went off about the Theater of Pain, Motley Crue. That one.
Oh yeah. I think Loverboy sucks too. But the thing is, Loverboy sucks in the sort of way where it's like,
There he is.
That's funny.
That all blanked out. It's dude, I got it real quick. It's windy as fuck here again. I don't know.
Here
Is
too.
it windy near you, Greeno?
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, cool.
All
But go
right.
ahead again. We
So-
blocked out a little bit, but we're good.
Loverboy kind of sucks in the way where it seems like it's a little bit charming. You know what I mean? I mean, I would
Yeah,
never put that record on. I would never bring that into my house. But
Mike Reno with Loverboy or Mike Reno with Moxie?
huh?
Isn't Mike Reno on the first two Moxie records?
He's on the last one.
Oh, the last one?
Yeah.
All right, so Mike Reno, the one record with Mike Reno, the Moxie album, or Loverboy? You got to pick one.
Oh, probably the Moxie record. Just on
Really?
principle. Well, I've never heard that last Moxie record, so
You
The
never did?
Loverboy's better.
that might be the wrong choice too. I'm totally willing to believe it's the Loverboys record. I mean, Moxie had a lot of suck in them. You could hear that on their good records.
I thought that
You know,
last one with him was pretty good, wasn't it?
To be honest, I shouldn't have said that. To be honest, I can't even remember that.
Yeah, I can't either. I've listened to so much shit over the years that
Yeah. Hey Vance.
where is he?
What?
At? Oh yeah, I had to. Not yet, Vance.
Yeah,
Not
hang on,
yet.
Vance.
Give us time.
We're getting there.
I'm trying to grow my beard like Billy,
ZZ.
but
Have
And
you
I-
guys seen the documentary?
the doc.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Yeah, really.
That's
The
what
only
kicked all
problem
this
I had. The only
For some
problem I
reason-
had with it was the it kind of just blew over the '90s stuff
Yeah, it really did.
up until the last studio album. And I'm not a huge fan of those those '90s records, but it would have been nice to hear something about them.
Sure.
That's what kicked off the whole ZZ Top thing. Seemed like for about 4 episodes we kept talking about ZZ Top because we were all watching that documentary and everything.
Yeah.
It just, I mean, now that we're on to ZZ Top,
Thanks, Vance.
it blows my mind how fucking amazing Billy Gibbons is as a guitar player. Like when you're a kid, you don't like give me all your loving and all that shit. You're like, that was all sticky kind of MTV ZZ Top. But then when you go back and listen to that old shit and watch the old Gray Whistle thing, I think they were on, or one of those Rock Palace or whatever, and
The
you
old
actually
70s.
watch him play.
Yeah.
Fucking amazing guitar.
You know, I'm a kid of the 80s, and so I knew that MTV ZZ Top. It took me till I was much, much older to go back, and people were like, no, you've never heard like the first ZZ Top? I was like, dude, it's another animal, and I'm glad I did.
Yeah. Dude, I was kind of the same way because, I come up with Sleeping Bag and all that stupid shit. So I got burnt out on them.
Got my sleeping bag.
And then I finally went back and checked out the 70s stuff. I was like, well, like you
Yeah,
said,
my boy Vance just took a shot at Cinderella. It's messed up. You know, Vance, do you know why they called the band Cinderella? I'll leave that. I'm waiting for the answer.
Man, if you guys have never seen the Cinderella hot dog commercial,
Oh, dude, I was there.
yeah. Yeah.
yeah, George is in Philly, dude. He was up there for all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If you watch that video and it gets to Michael Kelly playing and they're shoving each band member shoving a hot dog in their mouth, look at Mike's. Mike's doesn't have meat in it because he's a vegetarian.
That's funny.
They're doing a fucking hot. I think like 2 weeks or 3 weeks after that commercial, if I'm not mistaken, is when Cinderella got interest from Mercury Records, but they just wanted Kiefer. They dumped the whole band for the most part.
Wow.
So that's basically why Mike, Tony, and well, even Eric Brittenham at the time were all gone. They just wanted Kiefer, but then Kiefer had this thing like, at least give me Brittenham, which is weird because Mike I thought was a better songwriter, but whatever.
What a shitty situation to put a guy in a band in where like you have to choose over your buddies or like some.
Well, that
money
was the
in
thing.
hand.
Like I've been friends with Mike for 25, 30 years now, probably more than that. And he was always the thing when that happened. He always told me like, he just gave him his blessing. Like, dude, how can it's a lot of money at the time for guys that weren't making shit. And, they were all like pretty fucking heartbroken over the whole thing because they started that band out of another band called Priscilla Harriet Band, which was just it was a bunch of different Philly musicians at the time, but at that period in like 84, 85, it was Eric, Mike, and Kiefer, and Priscilla Harriet was the singer, and they used to do all around here. They were a cover band, but
Now, is that how Britney came about? All the guys that got left behind?
yeah, like Eric and Tony Dexter and Mike.
Born Brittany Fox.
Yeah, for the most part. I mean, they knew Dean. Dean was a songwriter in the area. Dean played a lot of drums for, believe it or not, he was a drummer in the band World War III before the record came out.
Yeah.
And then Johnny D was the drummer on that record, which is weird. But yes, I mean, they knew Dean and they brought Dean in, and Dean and Mike wrote, I think it was like Long Way to Love and something weird in that one session, man. But
all right, so you want to jump into Boot in the Ass? Everybody knows Bootleg.
Who wants to go first?
But just keep going. You go, George.
I didn't really prepare for this at all. But, so I have one I'll go grab. I need to get a drink anyway.
All right, cool.
Go for it. Greeno, what's my name again?
I can't say it the right way.
Yeah, don't say it. Damn, Shelby. All right, Greeno.
I got great accent.
I got the show that you got recently, but it's just a different title, and that's the Maiden.
Oh, it's the Christmas show.
Yeah,
Right on.
this is on Metal Mania, so I don't know if this is one you're gonna need or not.
I got that one too.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah, that's that label we both been trying to grab everything off of.
Yep.
I think they're up to 7 or 8.
But pretty killer show from that.
That early, man.
Yeah, and I would imagine it's like a newly surface show, wouldn't you think? Because I don't remember ever seeing
Yeah, I don't know if I've seen
that
that one
Xmas
before.
show before.
Yeah.
So it's got to be fairly new.
New find.
Yeah, I guess.
Right on.
It's killer, man. If you like early Maiden, obviously with the Anno, which is my favorite Maiden, then
That's the
I'll
shit.
check this out.
All right, you're up, Bananas.
Well, initially I was like, you know what? I don't think I own any bootlegs. And then so I prepared a little something else, but then I'm like, it hit me. Yes, I do. Steve's got a bunch of bootlegs and he picked up recently, but I didn't think I owned any. Then it clicked with me that My Bloody Valentine, Loveless. This is a boot from this. The only way you could get this is a bootleg. I'm pretty sure until very recently. This is like an Italian label that did this, and they sound pretty good. And it's phenomenal, seminal shoegaze album. I'm sure most people know it. It's one of my favorite records, really. But I think what it was, the boots were all over. They've been around forever, like on Discogs and stuff till Discogs stopped selling boots. But I don't know if it was originally released on vinyl at all. But then, like a couple of years ago, some label in the UK, I believe, did both of their big records. And I'm like, oh, sweet. There's an actual pressing based off the original masters. This is going to be legit. And then it's one of those things. I'm like, oh, I'll pick that up sometime, And then it's boom, it was gone. I'm like, well, shit. Now I'm back to like the only thing around is bootlegs. And this actually popped into a local shop, and it made me pull the trigger. And I'm really, really glad that I picked it up. But because I didn't think I was going to have a boot, I did want to give a shout out to Jay, because the only bootleg thing I thought I had was these pair of Retro 7 Jordans that Jay got me at the Goodwill outlet. These are Chinese bootleg Jordans that Jay got me. So
Oh, shit.
I rock them like hell.
Hold on. Wait. Leave them up there.
All right.
There we go.
Look at that, man.
That's awesome.
Little scuff. Now, these are like $2. And Jay actually flips sneakers on eBay and stuff, and he's made some good money. And he got these, and they got the little number in here. And when you look up the number, it doesn't really jive. And he said, I'm pretty sure these are bootlegs. And he's like, I'm not going to stake my reputation on eBay by selling some janky Jordans. And so he was like, they were my size. And he was like, there you go. So that was my other contribution.
What
Dude,
size are those, dude? About 15?
12. I wear size 12.
See,
You know what that means.
that's it, brother. I wear size 13, so beat that.
Yeah, I'm there with you.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome.
What you got, Aaron?
Well, what they did with those My Bloody Valentines, by the way, that was bullshit. Like they fucking, it's out of print for decades, and then they like go and print like 500 or something like that. $70.
That's what it was, man.
Everybody's
You know,
doing that.
That's why people make counterfeit records, you know?
Exactly right.
And that's why I don't feel too bad about buying them either. You know what I mean? It's like, if I have a choice, I mean, I'll get an official release over a counterfeit any day of the week, right? But like, if they do some bullshit with it, like if they make it really shitty, you know, or pull some stunt like that, you know, then whatever, you know. It's more important to me to listen to records than to fucking play games with, you know, authenticity.
Exactly. Especially when I put that record on, I'm like, there's not really anything wrong with the fidelity of this record. I don't know how an official release would sound any better. I have official releases that sound 10 times worse than this, so that I paid a lot of money for. You know, so.
Well, it's like George and I both picked up the Misfits American Psycho, and that's a boot, you know. But it's
kind of good.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like get off your ass and release this thing official. You know, people will buy it and not buy the boots.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
Like
think
those Danzig records. Why? How come those haven't been reissued? That's insane.
It's Danzig.
I don't know. I think that's more of a American records type thing.
No.
You know, when they do it at one time. Like the Slayer, when they did that, it was all the Slayer records at one time. Or right, or it was like 4 a week or some shit like that, all in 1 month.
You know, the Melvins were a lot like that for the longest time. Every Melvins record was over $100, if not $200, and then slowly but surely they kind of caught on. Or it could have been a battle between record companies and publishers, whatever. But eventually, it came around to where you could start picking up Melvins records again, which was awesome. You know, because I'm not paying $200 for a damn record. Oh, look at that! Yeah.
It's funny.
Bonita Beach.
What's the first Alice in Chains? Face.
You know, it's cute. Not to cut you off real quick. My daughter brought me a can opener, a bottle opener for Miller Lite.
Twist
The champagne of beers, right?
But has Facelift ever been reissued? I don't think.
No, dude.
I'm not saying that.
Facelift was only reissued over it on that Music on Vinyl label.
Yeah.
And it's probably 8 years ago, 7 years ago.
That makes no sense, man.
And check this out. It was missing a tune.
Really?
So, yeah, so I went to get, I saw that Faith No More was doing the real thing through Music on Vinyl or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And that was probably 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
So I ordered it. I got it. They took off the cover of War Pigs.
Really?
Yeah, dude. I guess
I have that. I don't even know if I've noticed that.
instead of making it a 2 LP set, they cut off War Pigs and maybe one other song.
Which
So
the real thing?
real thing, yeah.
I have an original of that. I can't remember.
Oh wow!
I think the original has War Pigs on it, but I don't know. For some reason, that Music on Vinyl, they pulled it off of it.
Yeah, there's the Music on Vinyl
There you go.
version. I mean, son of a bitch! I've never noticed that. How about that?
Yeah, I wouldn't buy. I didn't buy it, man.
Yeah, that was a gift for me, but still, that's kind of weird. They would do that. I also have that same Music on Vinyl. The get off of here for crying out loud. The album of the year.
That's
Also Music on Vinyl. Yeah.
I didn't buy. I didn't like anything past the real thing.
Album of the year, I think, was the last one for me. Angel Dust, was that after that one or before?
That was before
that.
Yeah.
Those two were kind of the last that I kept up with them on.
Yeah, and don't sleep on King for a Day. That's the one that's got Trey Spruance playing guitar for Mr. Bungle.
I remember that one.
We used to call that band Mr. Butthole. Yeah, just for the hell of it, you know, like Mr. Butthole. I hated that band, man.
Not a Bungle fan?
No, dude, you know, because honestly, the last time I heard it was like whenever it came out, and I was like, I fucking hated it then, so I never gave it his chance again. But that was what 30 years ago.
That
I
might
tell
be
you-
fun to revisit.
When I came, when I left home and went to college at NC State University, got into the dorms, me and my roommate, and we met this guy from another town, started comparing CDs and stuff. And it was also, the same time you start experimenting with stuff and hanging out, so to speak. And he was like, "Hey, man, you ever heard this band, Mr. Bungle?" It's like, "You like Mike Patton from Faith No More and stuff?" I'm like, "Oh, yeah, man, I love Faith No More." And he was like, "Yeah, check this out." Boop, puts on the CD of Mr. Bungle. And I was like, I looked at my buddy and I'm like, "This is what my brain sounds like." Those were my exact words. And so
I
I've been a
felt
fan
that
for a
way
long
with I felt that way with Primus.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Experimenting in the boys' dorm.
I
Maybe.
was gonna say, when you always experiment with them, like think like big cock or something.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about big, but I get
Nah,
by.
dude, if I'm gonna go, I'm going all the way. Miller, this light beer tastes like fucking streamy piss water.
I gotta drink them to watch the carbs, man.
I
I haven't drank in a long time, so I probably should just stick with Miller Lite or whatever this is.
It's been over 10 years for me.
You haven't had a sip of alcohol in 10 years?
No, whenever the wife will she likes real dark, sludgy beer. So
Well,
every once in a while, I'll try
that's my
a sip of
favorite.
hers, but that's like it, just enough to taste it.
So good. The next time I come down, me and your wife can go out for a bunch of Guinnesses, and
Oh, dude,
you'll be our
table.
Well, yeah, okay, all right,
Dude, Guinness and breakfast food.
Yeah.
I'll accept it, especially Guinness, dude. That's candy to me.
Oh, dude, she loves that. It's darker the better beer, man. She loves it.
I just told somebody on Facebook, I was like, "Man, if you've never tried bacon and eggs with a Guinness, oh baby.
I can drink Guinness with anything.
All right, what you got, Aaron?
All right, so I just pulled out this one.
Oh, dude,
That's cool. I've never
that
seen
looks beautiful.
Yeah,
Wow.
this is it's a
it's a
box.
box.
So it came out, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago, something like that. Black Sabbath Sabotage, and it's just one show recorded off the soundboard, so it sounds great. And like the sides are all like that with like little labels on them because they're plain, you know what I mean? But then there's this book that comes with it too, which has these kind of funny pictures.
Wow.
And there's like a little write-up in here, supposedly from Gerald Woodruff, who like played the keyboards on those like later records from the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's like this write-up about how they were like just like inept, and he was like carrying the band, and like that's basically it. I mean, it's it's kind of a joke thing.
What, the keyboard player said he's carrying the band?
Now, like they just sucked. Like he was actually playing all the shit and like writing the songs, and
Wow.
yeah.
The balls on that guy.
Fucking cojones.
Yeah. So anyway, this is a pretty cool piece. And there's a couple other ones from this era that came out now. But when I first got this, I'd never heard a live version of Megalomania. You know?
So I'm sorry, man. I was watching my son text come through. When you bought that, you said it's a soundboard, correct?
Yeah.
And it's perfect, or?
Oh yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm
really
sorry.
is.
What tour again?
1975. It says
Okay.
Black Sabbath Sabotaged. Now on the record, they actually say that here's a song that's coming up from our record that's coming out in like 3 weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
Wow.
I got you.
The songs are like brand new.
Wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my dog was barking, so I was texting my son to come down and get him. So get her. So,
Mine just started.
wow.
All right, Vance, here it comes. You ready? Live June 15th,
CZ Top.
1980. ZZ Top.
Ooh.
Dude. Yo,
Killer, dude. And it's
is that the one that they do the cover version of Barefootin' on?
don't think.
Okay. I got to tell you that. Go ahead and
That
dude, I am on such a ZZ Top kick. Go ahead.
I've kind of been too a little bit, man. This thing sounds awesome, man. It's soundboard, come out in 2015. But I think it's kind of funny. They're playing Dean guitars.
Yeah. Oh man. Not a fan of Dean's.
Yeah.
I think they had a what do you call it with them back in the day?
Like an endorsement deal with them.
Yeah, I think during that period, because 80 was the time that they were saying in the documentary. Wasn't that around the time that after they took some time off and then came back with those long ass beards and all that shit? And
Maybe so. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's when they got into the Eliminator and all that shit, right? This is
no, before, believe it or not, it was after. It was before that. It was like
El Loco.
Whenever they did, who was asking us about that Texas, the Texas Worldwide tour last week or the week before on a show?
Yeah, that was
after they put that big ass tour together.
Yeah.
The next album they came out with these huge. I think it was that album. They came out with these huge
bigger beers. Yeah.
Yeah. People, because they had. I think that was like the first time in 7-8 years they took time off.
Well, somebody's asking, where do you guys stand on El Loco? And like I said, I stand firmly. I like El Loco.
Yeah, I don't play it as much as the other records, but I don't have a problem with it. You know,
I mean, this album, the first time I heard them was on these guys, and it was all because of Tube Snake Boogie, of course.
Right.
But yeah, not a problem with that album. That's a cool album.
You know, hey, let me ask you guys this. Speaking of bootleg, since I only have that one in my collection, is that something you guys actively seek out to collect, or you just kind of falls in your lap kind of thing? Or
I think lately with Greeno and I, anyway, it's been that's all we've been looking for lately.
It's an interesting time right now. Like all these people are jumping in, putting these bootlegs out, and they're doing like incredible packaging. And like I have a store relatively close, local, and they get a ton of them in. You know? And if they're usually around $20 to $25. I try and stay in that price range.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
Because I do have one store that gets them pretty regularly, but it's a lot of Sabbath, a lot of Zeppelin, but they're like $60-$70 and stuff like that. I'm like, I don't even know if it sounds good, man.
No, I mean, if it's around the $20 mark or something, I'm kind of on board. But it's the same deal, you know. Sometimes it's a 50-50, roll of the dice. But I look for the soundboard or FM broadcast, that kind of stuff. I try and stay away from the audience recordings.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
But Greeno, real quick, I've been telling you about the package that was held up in New York.
Yeah.
Finally showed. So this is the stuff that I got. That Bombers Over Europe.
Oh, that's killer, man.
Do you have this, right?
No, I don't have that one.
All right, dude. I'm telling you, this Cult Legend is the same label that does that metal, whatever it's called.
Metal Mania?
Yeah, it's got to be.
Wow.
So that's that one.
Right on.
And then the one I showed the Maiden Christmas one, and then the one you showed last time.
That's awesome.
When he showed it last time, I was like, I just started laughing. I'm like, that's stuck in New York right now.
I'm surprised you found that Kiss, dude, because that's been 4 or 5 years ago. I picked that up. I'm surprised it's still around.
Those all three came from the same guy. Like that Kiss was 35, and the other two were like 25. So because the other two are newer.
Right on. All right, so
I can't believe what Kiss fans y'all are. It trips me out.
What's that?
I can't believe what Kiss fans you are. You know,
It's got to be a certain era for me to buy the bootleg stuff, though.
Yeah, I'm only getting 70s stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, still, man. Live is plenty for me. You know, I do think that one belongs in every collection. It's just one of those records, you know.
But I think it comes down to the age and what you got into when you got. Yeah, because you were a little later coming in, right? Like
he's a young buck.
Well, I mean, I think didn't you say like it was?
I'm super young, dude. I'm like 34.
My asshole too.
And dog years.
Wasn't it like mid 80s? Wasn't it like mid 80s when you really started, or early 80s when you really started getting in? Yeah.
For like
12.
Second half of the first half of the 80s. When I really started getting into it.
First quarter, the last quarter though.
See, I was like 77, and that's Kiss, you know what I mean?
And, I can see like the way that when Kiss was really popping, like the late 70s, like you were saying, I associate Kiss, and that's like when I was born, but I associate that with like Kiss and comic books and Star Wars. It's like that whole thing, and that all kind of relates in my brain when I think about Kiss,
No, you're right.
Dude, what you just said right there is my childhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That was it, dude. I mean, Kiss was especially when you're 10 years old, 12 years old, Kiss is the biggest goddamn thing in the world to you.
Sure.
You're into music, and Star Wars and Marvel comics and all that stuff. It's just,
and then when you're like 14, then the Farrah Fawcett poster comes out. And then you kind of forget about Star Wars and comic books for a little bit.
All right, let's jump in and talk to Mikey Bananas here. Do a little interview.
Mikey, that's my son's name. We call him Mikey.
So basically, kind of ask the same questions to everybody. When did you first get into music? What band got you into it, or who got you into it?
Really early on, what got me into music from probably like age 3 was it's actually sitting right up there. It's a box of my mom's 45s. And I would sit in the floor, just a little ass kid, going from, just like we do on Friday night, going from 45 to 45 to 45. And I loved that feeling of just going to the next record and playing things based off the cover and stuff. And that kind of, in that same collection of music, my dad had a bunch of cassettes. And actually, right here, this is what started me. This is the most important piece of music in my entire life, is this Chuck Berry cassette right there.
That's awesome.
The best of the best of Chuck Berry. This will not play anymore because I literally wore it out when I was like 4 or 5 years old, playing along on a tennis racket and just absolutely losing my mind. And Chuck Berry is the reason I got into music, which eventually folded into, later on, Nirvana was a big influence, and then like a local band, which got me into like playing music. And but those are the big markers like along the way for sure.
Right on. So you're what, early 40s?
I'm 43.
43. Right on. It's always interesting to ask the age because
he's a young buck.
Yeah. It's cool to see where everybody kind of lines up with, what they get into at that time and what, it's interesting. You did, Chuck Berry was kind of the match for you.
I don't know what, like I talked about this, I think a week or two ago on the show, maybe, or I think it was on Facebook, one of those post 10 records things, but, it was the Chuck Berry blew me away. My dad had a Montrose cassette. I Got the Fire. I literally, when I say this, people think I'm memeing, but like when I heard I Got the Fire, I would run around thrashing around in my house like I was at a fucking Slayer show and like 3 years old. It made me literally lose my mind. So that's the first time I really remember just like losing control over music. My parents thought it was funny, but it was really a genuine reaction, and that kind of reaction still hangs with me today. Really,
that's cool.
Didn't Maiden cover that?
I don't know.
Maiden covered "I've Got the Fire" like during the first album, maybe, or the second. I mean, it's definitely with Deano.
That's a rocking song, man. It really is.
You hear the Maiden version's actually the first version I heard until I went back to Montrose.
Yeah, that was King of Twilight for me. That song kind of freaked me out a little bit when I heard it on the B side of the Aces High 12-inch. There was something that sounded so ominous about it, Yeah. I was still a kid, so I was more easily intimidated, We're talking like 1984 or something like that. I was like, God damn, what is this King of Twilight shit that kind of sounds like it might be the devil or something?
Yeah, the devil.
Totally. That's still my favorite Nectar song, too. It's fucking fantastic. Like anything that kind of intimidated me when I was a kid kind of gets an extra tip of the hat, like fucking Demon.
Oh, yeah. During that period of the 80s where everything was satanic and they were investigating, people massacring animals in the woods and drawing pentagrams. Oh, I was all in, baby. Oh, I got that's all it took for me.
Hey, here's an idea. This is totally like fucking hijacking this. I'll tell you right now. So we'll come back to the interview, but there's this. Have you ever heard of a podcast called Chapo Trap House? it's like a left-wing podcast. It's like in dirtbag left, which is what I like. That's kind of what I identify with. But anyway, they did this one thing. They're millennials, right? So they're probably 10 years younger than me. Maybe not 10 years younger than Bananas, but they're like older millennials, but they're basically millennials, right? And they did this thing where they were talking about Gen X. And I was like, it's one thing when the boomers are talking about you, but I'm interested in what a generation younger than me has to say about my generation. That's really interesting. And one of the things they said that's kind of stayed with me was that as a generation, we're obsessed with authenticity. And I never really thought about it that way before, but if you go back and watch my videos, I don't know how many thousands of times I praised something by saying it sounded sincere. You know what I mean? I was like, that's like one of the highest compliments I can bestow. And that's just where I'm coming from on this shit. You know what I mean?
I know where that comes from nowadays, because no music in this day and age has anything authentic about it.
And there was a fine line, like when I was playing music, the bands that even like newer metal, we were playing newer metal stuff, and you could tell the guys that were like doing it for the right reasons, and there were obvious the people that were just like, I'm trying to get a record contract, or it was very obvious,
Dude, you ain't
with the figure that you were just saying, George, too. I mean, it's not like that wasn't there in the 80s, though. You know what I mean? It's like you look back and you go look at the shit. It's like there's the shit that people are kind of fond of, right? But if you look at like the real pop music from the 80s, it's just as fake as the shit is now. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I guess there's more shit that crept through that wasn't quite as fake. You know what I mean? I think there's a difference of.
Well, that's what pissed me off about the 80s pop stuff. Like,
yeah, totally.
Like the 80s glam shit. MTV shoved it down your throat 24/7. So obviously, like, all the record labels started signing everybody that sounded like.
That goes for every scene, though. Think of the 90s, man. When after Nevermind, every band sounded like Nirvana or Pearl Jam, and it was like just fucking stop. You know what I mean?
Or look at the 60s, especially before Beatlemania. You know what I mean? A lot of that shit is just fucking terrible. Like the worst kind of like corporate produced shit, like in a way that we still don't even have today, really, where the label just owned everything.
It's funny, man. I feel like, I don't know if it's my generation, like being, I call us D-Generation X, like the wrestling stable from the 90s. But bands like, to me, were like Jefferson Airplane. Those bands to me were like bands that were corporate. The bands that were put together by a label and sent out on the road acting like, hey, free love and peace shit. You know what I mean? There was always something fake to me about that band. And I don't even know the woman's name. Grace Slick, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Always something fake about her and that band. And what angers me the most is when people call the Beatles a boy band. That era. That drives me insane. But on the other hand, it's totally true. True. Like that was their boy band, but that band actually fucking played their own shit. You know what I'm saying?
But like back to the 80s pop thing, I've haven't just watched the Quincy Jones documentary. There is such an art to that schlock at the same time, to where the stuff that he created in the 80s, as commercial it is, you made an entire generation get up and down.
Quincy's a little different than a lot of that shit that was put out. That was, if it wasn't on Motown, chances are it was like, it was going to be in the 99 cent bin. Now, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
true. Anyway, the other thing that made me think of all that was that when Bananas just a minute ago was talking about like all the satanic panic and shit, and that was so fake. And like everyone our age saw right through that, but somehow the boomers were all like fucking hung up on that shit. You know what I mean? I wonder if that sort of primed us to be hostile to fakeness as a generation in a way that the millennials aren't, But I can only speak for myself here anyway, so it's like you're like psychoanalyzing myself.
Dude,
with like
Cameron's dad was a sheriff's deputy growing up, and he was the authority on satanic stuff in our county. And so when they did news stories, he would like sweeps pieces during news. They walking with the reporter through the woods. You can see there's a goat skull over here. They drew a pentagram on this building over here. He was like the expert. And it was.
How did you get that?
I would just do that shit to fuck with people.
Sure, that's what most kids were doing.
Dude, And it's funny that I'm bringing this up now because I just talked to. Well, I just sent him a message today. When I was in like 10th grade, me and my buddy Ty had this band that we played AC/DC covers and whatever. We were called Hemlock. So we would spray paint instead of the Anarchy A, we would spray paint the H with the circle and call it Hemlarchy. So we would put this fucking thing everywhere. Dude.
That's funny.
Awesome.
You know, all those bands,
That's great.
Slayer and all that, never bothered me. But I will admit, the only band that freaked me out as a kid was Venom. And I was late to the party on Venom, man.
Venom made me laugh.
Dude, that is it black metal? What one on the back with the cover or the picture?
It's
They're kind of
black
bent down. It's black and white, and it kind of got the water.
Black metal.
That's Welcome to Hell.
Is it Welcome to? Okay.
Oh yes, you're right. Welcome to Hell.
That
Where I think it's Abaddon with the axe.
Yeah. Dude, that picture still frightens me. I'll be quite honest with you.
Yeah,
What they pulled it off for me because it was late 80s, early 90s before I really dove into Venom. Because
wow.
Yeah, one of my best friends just commented all the best bands are affiliated with Satan.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Right. That's my man Steve Couch, one of my best friends on this planet, man.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, let's get back to Bananas. What do you mainly collect? And I know that's a hard question because watching Grow Man Records nights, you're all over the map, just like a lot of us.
I'm all over the map, but I will say, I started out, it was more of a jazz and funk kind of deal when we first started, and I'm probably the proudest of my jazz collection. And I've talked about this on the show before, but a lot of that started back. I remember when I was a kid watching the Cosby Show. That's probably not appropriate to talk about anymore, but I was watching the Cosby Show. He would clip and talk about going down in the basement, and he had a little crate of records and a little record player, and he'd sit there and listen to his jazz records. And I'm like, man, that sounds so freaking cool, man. Like
I bodies behind.
Yeah, it's like what's all this fentanyl doing out here? But that just sounded so cool to me, and so I'll love jazz from a very early age. And my parents are not into stuff like that at all. I mean, they had a pretty down the middle music taste, but for some reason I gravitated. I love jazz. I love classical, like really early on. And so to me, that was kind of a measuring stick as a collector when I first started, was getting a rare or a really awesome jazz record. To me, that held a little more weight for some reason when I first started. Now that's progressed into once we started doing record night, the funk records really came in, and finding records that kept the party moving and like kept people, because the original rule at record night was nobody sits down. You cannot sit down on a Friday night. Because it all came from like, you get home from work on Friday, man, I'm going to watch a movie and we're going to play a game and, I'm going to listen to music. I'm going to do this and do that. And you have like half a drink and you're on the couch. It's, right. I hated that feeling. I hated wasting a Friday night. And so when we first started listening to records, I mean, we would call each other out. Get up. What are you doing? Get up. So we'd stand around. If it felt a little more like a party, you wouldn't crash out and stuff. But so that's where kind of like the funk records came in. But yeah, I also collect country. I collect electronica stuff, got bluegrass because, we are in the South here. But like moving like in the more recent days, what I've kind of fallen more in love with is if I have a specialty when it comes to rock, I would say would be like in the stoner doom genre. That's what I've really started collecting in the past 5 to 6 years. And that's one of those genres I know a little more about than some of the other stuff. Because sometimes you guys blow my mind. You talk about stuff and I'm like, I don't even know what they're talking about. Metal Theologian, Zeke, Greeno, you guys throw bands out that I'm just like, dude, I don't know.
Dude, don't feel bad. It happens to all.
Yeah. But I love that. It's just like playing music. You don't want to sit around with people that are worse players than you are. You want to play up. You want to hang around people that know more shit than you know. So, but that I think like recently stoner doom stuff has really been what I don't want to say focus, but that's when I buy new records or order something online. Chances are it's probably going to be a stoner doom type band for sure.
Well, I can tell you, man. I mean, listening to music since the 70s. I was a hard rock, metal, alternative, all that stuff. Got into blues, but getting into the VC, I wanted to dip my toes into jazz. And right here, helped with watching him all the time.
Yeah.
He got me doing some of that. And then it was like,
Aaron played jazz for me. I'm like, I'm glad I hate this shit because he's making me hate it even more.
Well, and I'll tell you what really helped me is when we started doing the show or just hanging out. I work with Steve Fever, so we were buddies all along, but we didn't like hang out. We both played in bands and stuff, but we didn't really hang out like away from work. We started coming over here. He's about 10 years my senior, and so a lot of the stuff from like the 60s and 70s, he knew more about than I did. But even more so, I would say, like in the 80s. In the 80s, Steve was in like college. I knew Thriller and Invisible Touch and whatever was on the radio because I was a freaking kid, you know. Steve was in college, so he knew about the underground music scene and stuff that just went whoop, like right over my head, and I had no idea. And it took a little while to realize, like, you people were real quick. My generation, I say, will be real quick to be like, no, the 80s suck, man. It was everything in the 80s was freaking corny, man. It's like, no, it's just like any other generation or any other decade. You have to dig a little below the surface of what's not on pop radio. There's a lot of great bands out there that, you know.
Oh, absolutely, man.
Dude, I used to think like that back then, like, because I was a metalhead. So any of the 80s shit, I would be like, oh, it sucks. And now I think one of my things I listen to the most has been Dexy's Midnight Runners lately. You know, like
that's all you do.
And Jackie Wilson said that. I know it's an old Jackson Brown or one of those guys. It's a cover of one of those, you know, dudes' songs, but I fucking love it, man. And that just when you search that shit on YouTube, that just brings up like 100 other videos from the 80s. Like, oh, I forgot about that.
I can kind of take that
now.
Yeah.
As an adult.
Now. I couldn't as a kid.
Yeah, but you listen to it now as an adult, and even some of the cheesy like instrumentation in it, you can appreciate some of the guitar work in it because you know it's real guitar, but they have like that synth sound. I don't know, it's weird.
You know, to that point, he's talking about like kind of what I'm into. I've only got a couple of things on vinyl, but when I'm away from the stream and away from my records, what I listen to nowadays, probably more than anything, is synthwave and vaporwave stuff, which is, especially when I'm working, it's like, it sounds like cornball montage 80s synth music, but it's done now, present day.
And that's like the stuff that they've been doing for like soundtracks for like Stranger Things.
Exactly. That's a synthwave band. Yep.
I mean, that stuff's pretty killer.
I have no idea what you're saying. What are you talking about?
And it's just really fun music. And I'm thinking to myself, a few years ago, I would have laughed at this music so hard because it sounds like one of those cheesy like 80s B movies, like Miami Connection, you know, that or like the background of RoboCop or something like that. But that's where a lot of that stuff kind of comes from, is that kind of soundtrack from the 80s kind of vibe. And I'm listening to this shit all the time. When I'm working, when I'm busting out edits and stuff, I'm jamming this all the time. So it's fun. Haven't really got into the vinyl. A lot of them don't cut vinyl for whatever reason. But it's funny kind of going back. That's the total 80s cornball stuff that I would have joked about years ago, and now I'm listening to that shit like 6 hours a day.
Leave it to Couchy came up with it was Van Morrison. Jackie Wilson said that's right.
Yeah.
You're talking about that kind of music. I just spun this the other day, and the only thing come to mind was, is this like the music off Love Boat from the 70s, man? This whole fucking album, but I loved it, man. It's like the whole thing just reminded me of an episode of The Love Boat.
That's funny. Yeah.
Love.
Actually kind of looks like Odyssey.
You may be right. But anyways, I was saying, you know, getting into the BC and all that and watching Aaron, who's insane metal collection, and then showing all this jazz stuff. It's like, man, I need to check some of that stuff out. And then finding you guys on Grown Man Record Night, and you guys, whatever, are the reason for me getting into like checking out funk and soul and all.
Cool,
that.
Man.
And like, yeah, you were showing all this stuff, and it's like, man, that looks awesome, man. I need to check some of this stuff out, and I'm definitely diving further back into that stuff.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny how the show we go through phases. We've been through big psych phases where me and Steve are both like getting psych records. We go through more harder phases and metal stuff, and lately I've been kind of in a punk thing. And like, it's funny, we all for the longest time we were both ape shit about Genesis for like a short time. I don't know what was going on there. I mean, I like Genesis, but like Genesis and Gentle Giant and shit like that, we're all over that. It's funny how we move on to like the next thing over the years. We've done that so many times.
Oh man, going through those phases are awesome. And
it is.
Right there's the king. It's like, Jesus Christ, turn on one of his videos. It's like, all right, 90s rap for the next 6 months. Yeah. We'll be playing 90s rap. Are you out of that yet?
Oh, who, me? Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, I still like it, but it's not like there's still like a light going on though. It's like I didn't want to listen to anything else. Hey, real quick, Bananas, you see George's chair there?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a gamer.
Okay. All right. That's where my headset comes from.
Chair. He's a gamer. Yeah, you too. Yeah, I know the rap thing was pretty funny. You know what else was kind of funny was the fucking hippie thing, So I was so into that. Except I still kind of am. I still bust that shit out from time to time, but I tend to go through phases anyway. So anyway, I don't mean to hijack.
Well, I think everybody that collects hardcore, you know what I mean? Especially like you were saying, you got over here's my country and over here's my jazz and over here, man, I do the same thing. After a while, it's like, okay, I need to get off metal for a little bit. I'm going to listen to 70s punk.
Yeah, well, I always say, man, it's like listening to music or collecting records. It's like having a golf bag, and not every club works for every shot, man. It's Sunday morning. I'm sitting there with a nice cup of coffee. I may want to throw in a little slower jazz tune. Just if it's Friday night, you're having a couple of belts of some party liquor. You want something to get up and make you move around a little bit. Everything's got a time and a place, and it's hard for me to understand somebody that like only listens to one genre of music. I mean, God bless them, but I just don't know how people do that.
I can't do it either. And I always look at music and collecting as like a road, and there's just so many little side roads I take, and it loops back, and I'm back onto the road, and then I take another one. You know what I mean? And it's like side roads are what are interesting when you end up finding shit you never thought you would like, but you end up loving.
Well, I was talking last week about how fun it is to like find a band that you're really into and see who their influences are, and then see who their influences are, and keep going. See how far back you can go. Before you know it, you're in like the freaking 40s with some like post World War II R&B stuff, and that's you've gotten all the way from there to Slayer. It's fun how that lineage can work, and you can still hear, because I was talking about like Queens of the Stone Age and Caius, and how they say, Sabbath would not be their biggest influence. It would be like the Misfits and Black Flag. When I listen to the Misfits and Black Flag, I'm like, I totally hear that, but you wouldn't have thought that otherwise. But anyway, sorry.
That's cool. I mean, I like finding some band, and then you research and find out, oh, fuck, the guitar player was in band B, who also had the drummer from band C. And you end up just following. It's almost like being a music detective. You know what I mean? I love
exactly. Yeah,
it, man. It's awesome.
What's funny is sort of on a related note is Coltrane, my younger boy, he just started really getting into music like less than a year ago, and so he's been buying CDs, and like he has his own collection, and it's not a fuckload, but for like his age, of course I totally support him in it, right? Mm-hmm. But he would like, I don't know where he heard the name, but he got curious about Herbie Hancock for some reason. Like he came to me to the record store. He was like, yeah, I couldn't find what I was looking for. I was like, well, what were you looking for? He's like, this guy Herbie Hancock. I said, well, where did you look? And he hadn't looked in jazz, right? So anyway, I was like, oh yeah, I knew who Herbie Hancock is. And what I started doing was pulling out the records that he was on, like as a sideman or whatever. And there were so many just like around the store that I think it started to piss him off a little bit, which of course is fun. What makes it fun, right?
On a side note, I can hear Compared to What playing faintly behind you, and I'm sitting here bouncing like a freaking crackhead. Barely hear it, but it's just enough to make me just like, oh yeah, baby.
And he said Hancock.
Yeah.
Bounce.
I mean, the funny thing is I have a similar story with Herbie Hancock from when I discovered that shit in the 80s, but where I went in the record store and was looking for Rocket, and was like, what's he doing in the jazz,
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, shit, Rocket. That was Herbie Hancock, wasn't it?
1983, man. I bought that in Boston. I don't remember what I was doing in Boston, but I remember I bought that tape in Boston.
Well, Greeno, did we go through before? I know you and I have always done that, like what you don't, God damn it, I can't think straight. It's just been a bad week.
Get it out, brother.
Like a guilty pleasure record. Like I know you and I have talked about it. Like the cheesiest cheeseball record that you absolutely love in your collection? Well, and all three is.
Oh, that's easy for me. The Rocky
Pretty
Four
easy for me,
soundtrack,
too.
baby.
Oh, fuck yeah. Hearts on
Yeah.
Fire.
Don't get me started.
Hearts on Fire.
Oh, Hearts on Fire and No Easy Way
That
Out.
Rocky 5.
Rocky 4, that's 4.
It is 4? Okay.
Yeah, because I've always said I play
Why
this
you
show
change?
all the time, but because
And you
especially
can
when I'm not
change.
liquored up. But No Easy Way Out, why there's not like a heavy ass version of that? That riff is there's some nice riffs in that song, man. But it's corny as hell, I know.
That Rocky 4 to Rocky 5 always bothered me because when he went to Russia in Rocky 4, the kid was like 8 years old, and then when he came home from Russia, he was like 17.
It's that international date line.
Must be.
That's a whole
Yeah.
I don't know, dude. I got all kind of crazy shit like that.
Yeah,
Like,
but what's your your favorite one, man? I know mine.
I don't know if I could pick a favorite. I mean,
I think you know mine.
well, I'll tell you, I got Sheena Easton. I got a couple albums by her. The one with Sugar Walls, that song.
Oh yeah, that was the one that Prince wrote, wasn't it?
Yeah, I love that stupid song, man. But it's like,
I remember girls used to in TE or TE in middle school or early high school. Girls were there. You know what that means? Sure. Like, no, do you know what that means? You want to find out what that means?
All right, I got to grab a pop, as you Yankees would say. Hang on.
Go for it,
what are you going to pick, George? What is yours?
dude. You don't know mine.
Probably as soon as you say it, I'll be like, yeah, I should have guessed that.
All right. Well, I'll give you a hint. I guess Sheena Easton's kind of like related in a way through somebody else, through another artist,
Through Prince?
right?
Would it be Wendy and Lisa or whatever?
At the time.
Fucking Mars Day in the Time.
There you go.
Dude, that's my shit, man.
That's
I love Morris Day, man.
I was gonna say that strikes me as a grown man record night.
Oh yeah,
Fucking Mars Day in the
we've
Time.
spun plenty of that on the show. It's not only Sam's choice; it's Mikey Banana's choice as well.
There you go. They his book that Mars Day's book was pretty interesting read. If you haven't any of these read it, it came out late, like November, I think, October, November last year.
Well, I bet he's got some stories.
It's interesting, but the only thing I didn't like about it is he pretends like he's talking to Prince in the whole book. Like
That's odd.
it is odd, and it's like I don't know how I feel about it, but some of the stories were in it. Anyway, those two were nuts together.
Aaron,
Imagine how much ass those two got back in the day, like in that period before they got huge. He even said it like they weren't even popular yet, but they played at that club in Minnesota. He said as soon as you stepped on that stage in that club, it doesn't matter what you look like, they swarmed around you.
Sugar Walls.
Yeah, Sugar Balls, that's right.
That's the name of the club, I think. You want to chime in, Aaron? You got anything?
Yeah, I suck at this though because I don't really have any like really goofy shit. You know what I mean? I just like I feel like I'm playing it too straight doing this. I mean, I've talked about this record before, but this is one of the cheesiest things I think of loving. Where is it? Hang on. Yeah, this fucking record, man.
Hold on.
Mistreated. I think.
Wait, I know that record. Hold up.
Is
Yeah,
that?
I'm gonna fuck Reno into getting it.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I think I grabbed that. Whenever.
There's a reissue of it.
Yeah.
Hang on. But yeah, this thing, man. I don't know why. I just love this thing, man. And it's so corny.
Is it metal?
Well, it's under the broad umbrella, yeah, but it's kind of poppy, It's like super poppy, actually.
Right on.
Reno, remember the first Diano solo album under the moniker of just Diano?
Yeah.
Oh, That's how I felt. Like, you talk about like being let down.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know
right?
exactly what you're talking about.
Fucking terrible, man.
What was the other thing? Deano's Battlefield or whatever?
Battle Zone.
Yeah.
I like that.
Really, I wasn't too much of a fan of any of the stuff he did after Major.
I like those 2 records, but it's weird when they reissued that. There was a track on, I think, the first Battle Zone record called God damn it.
Well, that first one's all keyboardy and everything, right? It's not
the Battle Zone.
no Deano.
Yeah, that was one and done. But
yeah. There
was a track on the first Battle Zone record that ended up, when they reissued all that shit, they took it off for some reason. Overloaded. That was the track.
Yeah, I don't know.
And that was probably one of the best tracks on the record. And they, to this day, they've not reissued it with that song on it.
Wow. I don't know that album well enough. I probably wouldn't know if it was not on it on a reissue or not.
Yeah.
All right, let's get back to Bananas here. What's the album in your collection your holy grail, you're most proud of having?
Well, back to it would be my family's album, I would say. That'd be for sentimental reasons, and I've got like 5 of them across the top of my shelf over here. But my holy grail, actually, in something that's not a sentimental record.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably pull that real quick. Let's see, MOP. This actually, courtesy of he was in the chat earlier. Shane Rocky, he's our mod for Girl Man Record Night. Runs our chat for us. He hit me to this. He knows I'm a big stoner rock guy, big Queens of the Stone Age fan, and he said, "Hey man, just so you know, Queens is selling these records that they found in the back of their warehouse or whatever." And I was like, I think I was like taking a squeege one day, and I saw that message. It's normally one of those things where I'm like, okay, cool, I'll go check that out. But for whatever reason, I'm like, this is probably not going to stay around very long. And so I went, and this is Lullabies to Paralyze, the original cover from when it first came out. And they were selling these for $25. So basically it cost out of the back of their warehouse. Wow. And this sumbitch is sealed. So yeah, I'll just be, and I told Steve and I told Jay, I was like, hey guys, you may want to get on this. And I think they checked in like 30 minutes and they were all sold out.
Wow.
I just happened to normally I'm the guy that you tell me about a record, I'm going to sleep on it for fucking months until I actually look at it or pull the trigger or like, well, that's $25. Whoa. But for some reason that day I just got off my ass, or actually I was sitting on my ass, emptying my ass, I guess. And just on my phone was like boom, boom, pow. And next thing you know, I'm like, damn, I just bought a record. And then when I came out, I was like looking on my phone. I started looking at Discogs and stuff, and I'm like, open copies of this version are going for $200.
Yeah, that's a insane.
So a sealed copy. I mean, jeepers creepers. I have no idea. But I probably shouldn't have this in my regular stack. I should probably put it up somewhere so I don't break the seal accidentally. But
that's an original pressing, huh?
OG, the very first, because the other versions of that have a different cover. So I wasn't even really familiar with that cover at all. And that's one of those, you play that game of like, oh, you buy records to play them. Who keeps shit sealed? Blah, blah, blah. In this case, I'll go buy one of the new reissues with a different cover and I'll play that sumbitch. I'm not opening that. Not until I lose my job and need some, groceries. You know what I mean?
Right. Hey, not to cut you off. Bit Bop Boom, John. We'd like to have you on here, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know how to contact you. I think I have an email for you. I'm not sure.
If he goes to our info page on the Mancave of Doom podcast channel on YouTube, he can click a business email address. It'll come to us.
Cool, man. Yeah, contact us, dude. It'd be a blast to have you on. All right, man. What was your first concert, dude?
My first concert. Well, it was a band that was one of the biggest influences in my music, which made me want to get on stage and play. It's a local band called Of Dying Dreams, and I've played this for Metal Theologian before. These guys, They're heavy with the guy another guy that sings that is like operatic. Sounds kind of like Maiden in a way, kind of like Fate's Warning maybe. Who else am I thinking of? Kind of King Diamond-ish in a way. But they've got another kind of screamy guy. This is like the mid '90s, and the drummer is to this day. I've played with some big bands and some national acts and stuff. I have never to this date heard a drummer better than anybody. Maybe Danny Carey, better than the drummer of Dying Dreams. There's some full shows on YouTube. You guys should really check it out. They'll blow your mind. But if it's something that's not like a local band, actually going to a real concert, if you can believe it or not, it wasn't until I was in college and went in Raleigh to not a small club, but like a big club, and it was the Foo Fighters first tour. So it was the Foo Fighters, the Amps, That Dog playing at the Ritz in Raleigh, and the Foo Fighters they were playing clubs. That's how early it was for them, and it was a killer show.
Right on. Hey, Aaron, would you mind turning your music down?
Yeah, totally.
Like thumping.
Bip Bop Boom. He said his email said that you got sent an email to him.
Okay, cool. Right on, dude.
He hasn't checked it yet because his wife hasn't allowed him to check it yet.
Get back to me whenever you have a chance, dude. That's cool.
I love starting shit with people now. I love fucking with people.
Well, speaking of that, you were in a local band. You guys recorded and opened for Slayer.
We did.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we were lucky enough. We were a Jägermeister band, and so that got us a lot of opportunities to play with some national and tour and stuff. We opened for Clutch on New Year's Eve. That was a big time for us. Trying to think of who else we actually opened for Faster Pussycat.
Oh
yeah. Actually, we opened for quote unquote Iron Maiden.
Yeah.
It was when somebody was touring around using the name, like one of the singer who was
Diana.
Yeah.
Diana.
Yeah. Who was touring around using the name.
Holy shit.
Playing clubs, and we're like, hey man, we're open for Iron Maiden. People are like, get the fuck out of here. But yeah, that show we played with Slayer, it's the only time I missed my mom's turkey on Thanksgiving. It was Thanksgiving night 2006, and it was us, followed by Mastodon, followed by Killswitch Engage, followed by Slayer.
Wow.
It was like, whoa. So yeah, we got a lot of opportunities to play with a lot of big bands, and half of them I can't even come to mind right now, but it was a lot of fun. We were pretty close. We got featured on a lot of like regional compilations, and we got courted by some record labels, and it just never really worked out. But it was a lot of fun. We got to do a lot of cool shit, like signing boobs. I've signed boobs, fellas. I mean, that's about all you need to say.
Awesome.
You know?
Now, did you guys stay regional, or did you go out a little bit, or?
We at least stayed East Coast. We didn't go all the way to New York, but I know we did Cincinnati quite a bit. We did Southeast. We went to Atlanta quite a bit.
That's cool.
Stuff like that, Mid-Atlantic stuff. But we didn't. I think that's what we started getting a little. We weren't like 19 or 20. We were like late 20s, and so I think that kind of kept us from like we're all going to live in a van, because I'd been like, dude, I ain't doing that shit unless you're going to pay me for real. I'm not living in a van.
Yeah.
So. That was, I mean, maybe if we'd have put a little more into it like that. And we were kind of, I mean, I hate to say it, and this is why we got booed at the Slayer concert. And they threw shit at us because which the guys from Mastodon were real apologetic. And they're like, dude, Slayer fans throw shit at every show.
I just getting ready to say, it don't matter who's opening up.
Yeah. But more specific, we were kind of a rapcore band. Mm-hmm. So that'll do it.
Yeah.
And we were like, we had some heavier tunes, and we're like, we're not going to play our funky stuff. We're going to play our heavier stuff. You're trying to cater to the crowd.
Yeah.
It didn't matter. People legit throwing rocks at us.
Motherfucking Slayer.
They were apologizing. Like I said, Mastodon was apologizing. I was like, dude, if you told 14-year-old Mikey Bananas that you'd open for Slayer and so they would have booed you and throw shit, I was like, what? For real? We're open for Slayer? So whatever, man.
Did you get to meet those guys or anything? Or
No, some of the guys ran across Kerry King. I think I ran up and stepped on Kerry King's pedal board just because I wanted to say I did it.
Right.
But they ran into Kerry King and was like, "Hey, Mr. King, man, it's a real pleasure to play with you guys, man. This is like a thrill of a lifetime kind of thing." And he kind of just looked over his shoulder and went, "Yeah,"
Yeah.
and just walked on. So
He
were not
seems
the
like
warmest guy.
Rick. Yeah.
Yeah,
I always heard he was a douche.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who knows? But he's definitely not somebody I'd want to meet. Put it that way.
I tell you what really blew my mind about that concert. We were outside watching them load in the Slayer gear, you know, and these guys are like grabbing these 412 cabinets, whoop, and like tossing them around like styrofoam. I'm like, what the hell? Like, and then we looked and we're like, oh, they're empty.
Right. I was getting ready to say, yeah.
Posers, man.
I can't remember what show I was at. Damn. But it was a big show at the Capitol Center. And
They all fucking did it back then.
yeah, one of the bands had a whole back aisle of, the 412s, and I was on the side and you could see where they're empty. And yes.
Wasn't that Roth? Hey, yo,
What's that?
is that the wifeski?
Yeah.
What's she run away for?
I don't know. She's looking for trouble, I think.
She just wants to be on camera. Wasn't that the David Lee Roth?
Hi, Goobers.
Julie?
Goober. That's messed up.
Yeah, I can't remember what tour that was, but they had no backs on them, no speakers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was Roth, man.
That was a little bit of it may have been, and that was a little bit of a for a young Greeno. Yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, man.
I tell you who does not do that. I saw Sleep last year. They are 100% legit.
Really?
My ears are still ringing.
That's my boys from Philly.
All right. So I think we missed the nerd alert thing. Do you collect anything else? In which I know the answer to this.
Oh yeah, dude. I collect all kinds of stuff. It's actually a problem. I pulled out some things just to show you. I do over here to the side. And it's what we call the Atari alcove. We typically, while we're listening to records, play a lot of VHS that I pick up from Goodwills and stuff. Things that I really collect on VHS. I'm kind of selective, but like the old school Godzillas on VHS.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm big into those. Those make good background fodder, you know. So I've got a whole bunch of these, but I also try to pick up like 80s movies that I'm kind of nostalgic about. But besides Godzilla, like old skateboard videos, Future Primitive. Carl the Envelope actually gave us this one. That's worth a bunch of money.
Cool.
And old school wrestling stuff. Best of Starcade, anything Dirty South wrestling, man. We're all about here.
You're right up my alley there.
Yeah. It's funny. One of the biggest compliments we gave, or we'd been given about record night was Bo Earhead 6 said when he first saw the show, he's like, I detect a very distinct Mid-South wrestling vibe to this show. And I was like, brother, that's the best compliment you could ever give me. Aside from that, I've also picked up over the years some laser discs.
Right on.
Just get to the chopper
to pop through a few of them. Some quality. These are all like thrift store pickups too. I've never spent money on. Oh,
that's a beautiful one.
Oh yeah, and here, boom, Lethal Weapon 2.
I've been watching those on Netflix the last couple of days.
And I have a Laserdisc player. I finally found one at a Goodwill. Look at that cover, baby. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's just awesome. Back to the Future 2. That one's worth some money. This one, I don't know this movie. I don't know what it's called. Michael Peepin' Tom.
I've never seen that.
And like a sales disc of like, here's what a Laserdisc player can do for you. That kind of thing. But
where did you find your player at? Goodwill?
Goodwill. It was $10. I've been looking for years and years and years, and I knew sooner or later it was going to pop up. Somebody thought it was a CD player. I'm sure. But and I will over here. I can't really let's see if this works. Probably not enough. Down there in that cabinet, the very bottom. That's full of NES games and Atari games over there to the right. PS2. Man, I have 12 consoles.
Holy shit!
What?
Yeah, for all the way from Atari 2600 all the way up to PS4 now. But really, really big NES collector. Kind of slacked off in the last couple of years just because when I was working in the news business, I was in thrift stores and game stores and stuff like all the time. Like I would hit 12, 13 thrift stores a week. Nowadays, I'm back making commercials, so I'm not out in the public as much, which most people are appreciative of. But so I've kind of slacked off of picking up a tremendous amount of stuff like that. But I still keep my eyes peeled. Like nowadays, you find PS2 games you can find for a song at Goodwill. Some of those are worth some money and are a lot of fun to play. So I've got consoles set up. There's probably 6 or 7 in the living room. We got a couple over here in Atari alcove. Always gaming, always running, ready to go.
That's awesome, man. And that's another reason I like watching the show. It's like, even though we're pretty much different generations, very similar taste and like,
Oh,
all
yeah.
that stuff's awesome. I'm not a gamer guy. I have had one console and that was a 2600.
Oh, what, really?
Yeah, when it was new.
No, I do the games, but only Madden, and I do the sports games, baseball.
Yeah, like I had the 2600 and you had the joystick. I don't understand this thing. It's like, it looks like a
Pitfall 2 with a fucking jam.
Dude, we still on Saturday nights, I'll hear a lot of times, me and the fiance and Jay will be over here, and I have a PS4 disc that has a bunch of classic Atari games on it.
Hmm.
We'll get liquored up and start playing Atari 2600 bowling and running tournaments, passing the controller off, talking shit, putting money down. I mean, it's serious business.
That's it. Hey, while we're talking about this stuff, I did pull a couple things. I just got this on Blu-ray. I don't think I've shown this.
Oh,
before.
yeah.
Oh, is that with Mark Hamill?
Yeah, this Annie Potts. Dude, this was like a Grail. I wanted forever. And it finally come out on Blu-ray. I was like, mine.
And that's where he got the scar from. He got injured on that set, right?
Yeah, he crashed the car.
Yeah, there was something I know. He still had the scar in Star Wars or
On
something.
his lip, right?
Wasn't this right after Star Wars? This was
maybe it was before. Yeah, so Empire. Maybe he had the scar. For
Remember
Empire.
the whole that fucking ice monster thing, whatever it was.
Yeah.
When he hit him across the mouth and split him open. That injury was written into the film because he had split his mouth open in a car accident. I think a car accident while filming
Corvette Summer.
Yeah, Corvette Summer.
That's
I pulled
awesome.
another one. This was another Grail. Finally tracked it down. Cheesiest movie ever, but I love it. 60s movie. Hello Down There. Tony Randall. Have any of you guys ever seen this?
I've not.
No.
This has Tony Randall designs an underwater house, and he takes his whole family down to the house to live under the sea. The daughter, I think it is in a band, total 60s sounding poppy band, and Richard Dreyfuss, the guy with the bass right here. It's one of his earliest movies.
Wow.
Yeah, hold up. Either I'm really fucking high, or you just said that they live under the water.
Yeah, this is fucking awesome, man. It's like total 60s, and it's this band playing 60s pop music under the water in his house with dolphins and everything. It's just whack, and I love it. I back when Netflix would send you discs,
Yeah.
I got that one month and checked it out, and I was like, oh God, I need to find this. And it was out of print, and this thing was going for like $70, $100.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And I came across one for $10. I don't know if they're still out of print. I lucked out and found one.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Miami Connection?
Yes.
It is. It's about ninjas and a synth pop band from the 80s.
Yeah, it's been a long time, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's on that service Tubi that you can get for free, and it's totally worth your time.
It's a certain director. Wasn't there like 4 or 5 movies in that series or something, I think?
That I don't know, but I would love to find the other ones if that's the case.
Bro, remember Green, remember I was telling you a couple weeks ago about One-Eyed Monster?
Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, Jesus.
One-eyed monster, huh?
Yeah. I was telling these guys, I don't know, last week or 2 weeks ago, we were talking about horror films. And Basically, this is about a alien comes to Earth and takes over Ron Jeremy's dick.
So it really is one-eyed monster, because I was like, there's a term that's
Yeah,
wow.
it's fucking it's awesome. It's one of my favorite films. And like Greeno said, with the Tony Randall film, I got this Netflix and tried to find it, and it was out of print and like over $100 for this thing.
Wow.
Now it's worth $50 because I dropped it. But
some of these movies, man, I mean, because I've been really back into the movies since kind of leaving the BC. But some of these things it's just like collecting records almost. They go in and out of so much. They spike in price and all that. It's nuts.
Yeah, and that's what I've tried to keep an eye out for, like VHS tapes. And I was like, man, I can't get sucked into the wormhole of collecting everything that's. Oh, I'll remember that movie, and you'll end up with. And I already do have the whole shelf of stuff that I'm nostalgic about or whatever. But I'll be honest, I fell into the trap of when the thing came out about the Black Diamond Disney VHS tapes selling for $40,000 on eBay, and I got a bag of Little Mermaid bullshit over here because I'm like, baby, I just hit the mother load, and turns out that was all just nonsense.
Right.
But yeah, I fell for. I didn't fall for it because I'm like, I'm a little skeptical of that, but I'm going to pick them up because they're 50 cents, and now I got a bag of fucking Disney movies I don't know what to do with.
Now, I'm having fun with them, but like I found this company that does trailers. And like, dude, this is like it's 378 minutes, whatever that works out to.
Jesus.
Nothing but crazy ass trailers.
Oh, man.
They've done a bunch of them. Like I have 4 of these.
There's a speaking of Tubi, which is where the Miami Connection is, there's they have some on there where they do like full features of nothing but trailers with somebody hosting it. Steve Buscemi hosts it. That's what it is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But these are cool. I'll put them on and just kind of have them in the background when I'm doing something down here or whatever. And like I said, they run for 3, 4. One of them is like 6 hours, I think, man. But what's crazy, I'll be watching is like, wow, that looks awesome. Next thing you know, I'm making a list of what I want to try and track down and see. But loving those things.
That's awesome.
So, well, I don't know, man. I mean, this has been great. Other than to say, everybody needs to check out Grown Man Record Night.
Thank you very much.
And it amazes me. How many Fridays have you guys missed total? 5, 4?
Probably more than that, because there was a time when I was in news that I would every time I was on a call, which means I couldn't drink. I did some sober shows, and I was like, no, that's people are like, oh, you need to drink to have a good time. Well, apparently yes. So leave me alone. If I'm on call, we're not doing the fucking show. But there's been something like that, and times I've had to cover like snowstorms or a political event or something that we had to cancel, but not very many. Since I've moved back to commercials, I don't think we may not have missed the show last year, which is pretty good for us. So
I remember you guys having a power outage. I mean, you put up a
video.
It looked like you were in a flashlight. Hey, we're not on tonight.
that was an experience, man. It was sucked because it was a Friday and we don't have power or whatever. But like that's when my cameraman lived here with me, him, and the fiance, girlfriend at the time. We went and found a store. We got some chicken wings. We found the kerosene heater, some kerosene. We got like a case of beer. We came out and we grilled wings outside. Listened to the short. We found some crazy ass shortwave radio stations playing some bonkers music. We listened to that. We drank, we grilled out wings and sat here with 2 hoodies and 4 coats on in the freezing cold, and ended up being really fun. But yeah, that's what that always reminds me of.
I remember early on with you with the mic, with the record around the mic and everything.
That's how, we started. I don't even know why we started doing that, but we were listening to records, and then I guess as we're drinking or whatever, it's just like, hey, let's stand up and say something. Camera was like, say something, man. So I, got the camera out and put the mic up, and next, that turned into showing the records we were playing and whatnot. And then actually the first person over on Ustream, I don't know if you guys remember Sean 0612.
I remember the name.
He's also went by DJ Sean NJ, and now he goes by the Beat Stylist. But he was cruising around Ustream. He said the 45 mic is what got him. He saw that and he was like, wait a minute, and started talking to us. And he said, you need to research this thing on YouTube called the VC. And I was like, what the hell's a VC? And he was like, it's a whole bunch of people that get together and show records and stuff. I'm like, oh, because we were already doing that. I'd never seen a VC video or anything. We were already doing it. But that's funny.
Yeah, I think if I remember right, when I first started watching you guys, it was like you weren't so much into the VC yet, and you kind of slowly come over in.
Yeah, we were kind of a redheaded stepchild of the VC.
You're the talk show of the VC.
Yeah.
We never really put it like vinyl community in our titles, though. Did you? You know, like to draw people in from the VC?
I wouldn't put it in titles. I would put it in the, what was the thing?
Tags?
Yeah. I did put it in tags.
Yeah, I did too.
But it's like, you know, I never really, I mean, to a fault, I'd probably have more than 500 subscribers, but I didn't really do the thing where we, you know, I participate in like threads and, you know, people put out like a question and kind of go on and like I'm producing content. And if you dig it, sit and watch it. Yeah. I don't know. The other parts of it, I've never really been, I don't want to say not been a fan of, because I watch them, but it's for some reason, that's not really what I've been into.
Well, I think it's just different. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also I found out like early on, like I can watch, like I watch Metal Theologian for learning new shit about metal records that I have no. Same thing with Greeno when he was making videos. That's why I watched him. Zeke on like Psych Records of stuff I didn't know. These guys are like walking encyclopedias of genres of music that I'm into. Me, not so much. I know my shit, but I'm not so dialed into things that I'm like some guru kind of thing. And Steve helps with that a lot, especially in things I'll know a little more in one area. He knows a little more in another area. But I learned early on that you better fill those gaps in with a little bit of entertainment. What I lack in like knowledge in terms of like, oh, well, this is the Pittsburgh pressing. You could tell by the dead wax, or, you know, that stuff that I don't really have in my back pocket, I can make up with a dick joke really quick. So I learned early on, and I thought that was kind of different for the VC, is like make it a little bit entertaining, because you know, some people that do. This pro record right here is this came out in 1992, and it's a really good record. That's
the way I am. That's the most complaints I ever got on my channel is the dry thing, but that's the way I am unless I have somebody to bounce it off of.
Yeah, that's tough. And sometimes if they're dope enough records, it doesn't matter. I'm just like, oh, look at that, or I'm like making notes.
Yeah, like, I don't really like even that kind of shit doesn't cross my mind. Like if somebody's dry or too animated, it's the records that I want to see. But now, you know, when people started saying like, dude, you're so dry, you know, I'm like, okay, well, and then I like watch other people and I'm like, oh, well, they're fucking like way out of hand. Like, hey, like car salesman. Like, fuck off already, dude. Like if I saw that guy in public, I'd be like, look at this fucking asshole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I kind of hit the wall with doing that. Like you're saying, just holding the record up, and
yeah,
it was great to begin with, but after a while, I was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this.
It gets boring for sure.
Yeah, but it's a great way to meet people that are into the same kind of shit you are. That it is great for.
That's the best thing about the VC, between all the stuff you find and just the connections you make. I mean, it's insane. But your guys' show, it's always been a hangout, man. That's what it always felt like to me. You turn it on. I'm not watching your show to find out about new records, which I do. Yeah, but like the soul. Sure. I'm watching the show to see, okay, how fucking drunk is Mikey Bananas getting? Right?
And it's always kind of been for a large part. And we do show stuff, and sometimes we're more serious about it than others. But it's a vehicle for the other stuff we like to do, which is cut up and be stupid and entertain and try to be funny. And you know, that's how the chips and the sodas thing kind of, you know, it started out as kind of a gag. We can kind of wrap comedy around a bag of potato chips kind of thing, and it just kind of ran and it turned into something else. But
dude, you know, I love watching you guys with the chips and the soda. It's like, look at these guys. It's like you think it's wine or something. Well, I don't know. With it,
you know, when it first started, actually, our the biggest contributor to the channel, Aaron Griffin, it's a guy I used to work with. He said a long time ago, he's like, man, what if we did like a podcast about potato chips, and we call it Chip Chat? And when we started doing record night, and I was like, man, Aaron's idea. We could do a segment about potato chips. This is great, and we kind of just ran with it. So I owe it all to Aaron Griffin. I have to say, man.
How many bags did you say already?
650 some, all unique, a different bag every week. And if you look in the description of our video, there's a link to the sheet. It's a Google Documents file on a spreadsheet, and you can look. It's pretty damn impressive. Actually, hang on a second. Let me show you something.
Let me ask you this.
Okay.
What's the best bacon flavored potato chip that you've had?
Oh man, that is so hard.
Is it? There's not one that stands out to you?
Probably that bacon maple.
And who makes that? You know offhand or no?
Oh, I don't offhand. Okay. But let me open up the Google Sheets. Let me try this real quick. I'm gonna hit this button down here to share my screen.
Oh, thank you.
Last two, buddy.
Yeah, I'm done.
Last two, buddy.
She fucking it's a little Jackie over here.
Can you guys see that chip sheet?
Yeah, hold on. Let me load it up.
It should be on my screen.
Oh shit! There it is. We got it.
I don't know if I can enlarge it any more than that, though.
Cool.
This is what she has done. I mean, and if you go here to the far left, that's all the numbers. So for each, okay, here's from episode 35, 1853 kettle cooked, all natural buttermilk and herb thick. And it says over here, claims named after the year potato chip was created, kettly, but not very kettly, ranch and dill flavored, very good. I mean, they have comments like seven select.
Like tasting notes.
Yeah. 7-Eleven brand, Mike M, unique, not like anything else I've ever had. Different, Steve, they're different. I did not expect, but some of them it says like Mike M taste. It says they taste like burnt tires. You know, it's pretty funny. All right, I'm gonna stop sharing. Boom.
I've heard you guys talk about that sheet, but I've never pulled it up. That's intense, man.
And as we get so, and God bless her for doing that. She's just such a trooper to do stuff. She just does it for fun. But like when I'm in stores now, since we've done so many damn chips, I get into stores and I'm like, oh, buttermilk herb, pull out the phone, pull up the sheet, sort it by name or brand and be like, oh shit, we done these, man. Get these out of my cart. Don't. You know, that's saved me multiple times. Sometimes other people say, hey, I'm in Rite Aid. Have you ever done these? And send me a picture and I pull up the sheet. No, we've not done them. Bring them on.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty cool, man.
Go ahead, man.
You know what I think is underappreciated on Grown Man Record Night is the news segments at the beginning, and specifically because all the news ever is who fucking died. It's like every fucking episode, it's like, okay, who died this week?
We've gotten better about that, I have to say. At some point, I kind of turned the faucet off. Because every week
we hear about anymore, man. We're all getting older, so it's like we're all fucking dropping.
Well, I realized in the world of music, man, you're going to have 5 people every week. It's like the horn player from Jackie Wilson's band. You know, you got to stop. You know, unless it's like, you know, last week we talked about John Prine because, you know, shit, it's John Prine. But you know, we stopped doing, you know, birthdays. We did that a lot, and who died. We stopped that because it was getting overwhelming. Now I just try to do stuff that comes out, stuff I think people I know that watch the show. Like I know we got jazz people, I know we got metal people, and even if it's a record that I'm like last night we did a Black Dahlia Murder record. I'm not the biggest fan. That's not really my steez. But like I saw it and I'm like, there's a couple people I know that participate in our Discord and watch our show that will be really into that. So it's worth mentioning. I've kind of started thinking it's not just what I like, but it's what our community likes, and try to at least, you know, try to help them out if nothing else.
Right on. Well, I think we're coming up on 2 hours, guys.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Always goes quick.
Keep going. It's up to you guys.
I'm about ready to probably have to call it quits here.
Why you gotta make a poo poo?
Getting there.
Time to go to Browntown.
Next up,
Don't worry.
Browntown.
Oh,
You still got him
now.
I haven't broke into him yet.
Yeah.
Wow, what are you? You're like fucking. You're hiding them back in there.
That's porn for nowadays.
That's it.
Don't tell Julie.
We have plenty of toilet paper in this area.
Yeah, it's not as bad here. I don't think. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Nah,
Anybody
man.
beef? Anybody want to talk shit? What's going on?
I could talk shit all day, dude. You know,
All right, this has been awesome.
notice how he cut me off real quick?
Yeah, ready to light it up. This has been awesome, man. Thanks for joining us. And you too, Aaron. You're pretty quiet throughout the video today. Just sucking it all in.
Oh, I'm just hanging out, you know. Bananas is the guest. I'm just hanging out.
Oh, hey man, it's been a blast. It's really cool. I'm interested to see how many people kind of jump on this, start doing more live stuff like this.
That's when we started doing this. George and I talked about doing this for a long time,
Mhm.
and StreamYard kind of made it easy for us to do it.
Yeah.
But you know, after the first few times doing this, it's like, man,
After the first few cameras and microphones and all that shit.
but this seems like the next evolution to me for the BC. You know what I mean?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. And I know some guys have done back in the day. They would do like Google Hangouts and stuff. And but it adds another element when you involve, chat and questions and stuff like that. It's really Grown Man Internet provides a service to the community. Yeah, we're essential, motherfucker. That's right.
King.
But yeah, it's I think the next evolution of the doing stuff live, and live's fun, man. It's interesting to kind of just see where the conversation goes, and I think you guys are doing a good job with that.
Well, appreciate it, man.
Thank you, man.
Definitely keep it up with Grown Man Record Night, because it is my Saturday mornings
till the wheels fall off. I'm a stick to it kind of guy. I don't see an end in sight.
And you have to come back, man. Yeah, just come on.
Yeah, love to, man. Love to.
There's nothing better than talking music with people that know what they're talking about.
Yeah, and this is actually for people have never really seen me sober, so this is probably a new experience for a lot of people that watch the program. With this is a sober Mikey Bananas.
And this
am I that much different? Am I that a lot different?
This is the first time I got half kicked in the ass right now.
There we go.
On fucking light. What's that tell you? I haven't drank in fucking months.
It's been about 12 hours for me, so it's in 2 more hours I can have a beer. I don't drink before 8.
I was wondering how hungover you were going to be.
Actually, it was pretty good last night. I was kind of taking. I was like, I don't want to be, because I have this thing. I don't know if you guys, we've all got a little bit of age on us. I hit a certain point where it's not just the drinking, but like, because me and Steve after the show, very few people come back over to Twitch. Twitch is where we do the live music, where we play the records. And I wish more people in the VC messed with Twitch more, because I think it's an interesting platform with a lot of opportunities for a lot of different stuff. It's not just gaming, even though we do some gaming over there. But like, I think the platform is better, and like the integration of tools and stuff is better than YouTube. The metrics are better. Not to get all nerdy, but after the show's done and we go back over to Twitch and keep playing records, me and Fever are here playing records till like 4 or 5 in the morning.
Jesus.
And there's times,
bro.
There's times where I'm like, I turn the oven on. Steve's like, what'd you turn the oven on for? I'm like, I'll make some corn dogs, motherfucker. and
yo, Mikey, next time you come on, I want to see that.
But then at that, it's like 4:45, and I'm cracking one more beer, and I'm going like, what are you doing, dude? And then I go to sleep, and I'll still wake up at like 9 or 10 in the morning.
Oh,
that's the problem. See, if I could just sleep it off like I used to, sleep till 1 or 2 in the afternoon, like college, who cares?
Right.
I'm not doing anything on Saturday. But it doesn't happen. Now I just wake up and my brain starts going, and boom, that's it.
Pretty still.
So usually on Saturdays, I'm like this.
Right.
Not
Bro,
because
my trick
is don't sleep it off.
My trick is, if you remember to, before you go to bed, crank like 4 Advil down your throat before you go to bed, and then you'll wake up feeling all right.
If I could just get my 8, man, I'm good. But I so much lately, it's like I just wake up normal time for whatever reason, and then the rest of the weekend get a shot.
I
don't think I've gotten 8 straight in fucking over a decade.
I'm a wuss on my sleep, man.
Got to get to sleep. All right, guys. I think we're done.
Cool deal.
Yeah,
appreciate everybody.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, dude.
Yeah, thanks for making this happen.
So,
we'll be back,
we'll have next week, but we'll see what's going on. Maybe finally get a hold of John, Bit Bop Boom. That would be awesome.
Yeah, and I know I promised Vance next time.
Get Vance back on. So he's got to show his ZZ Top collection.
He better, or else he's not going on.
All right, everyone. Thanks for watching.
All right, man.
Yep.
Peace, everybody.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't, and click that little bell icon. You'll be notified every time we go live. So we'll see y'all next time. Peace.
All right.
See ya.